Hello everyone, welcome to National Time Media today. And today we do have a great spiritual guru with us. Swami Bhaktimarga ji is with us, and we are getting a blessings today, and we are going to ask few things which can help all the society and his great learning and all the things. Let's start with that. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
Fantastic.
Looking fresh today.
Enjoying the Chinooks.
Yeah, especially we are blessed in Calgary with the Chinook. So I would like to know about something about your life over here. You born in Canada,
Yes.
and can you tell me a little bit about how you come along all this way to the spirituality?
Well, yeah, I was born in southwestern Ontario. Chatham is the place. Historically, it's got a lot going for it. You know, there was the great chief Tecumseh who got killed by the American militia there.
Yeah.
I used to walk on near the Thames River. We have a Thames River. in
Thames
Canada,
River,
by law.
yeah.
And also the what we call the Uncle Tom's Cabin, where many black slaves had left the South to come to Canada to get liberated, to get free. So just a day's walk from where I was born.
Oh,
Yep, from where he set his camp up, like refugees. They started a whole community, agricultural community for those folks.
yes.
Yeah, and so that was an interesting part of our history.
That's you born on a historical place, we can say.
That's right. Yeah.
That's from the history begins.
That's right.
And why it being called the walking monk?
Well, yeah, I'm called the Walking Monk because I was given the name. I joined the Krishna consciousness movement, ISKCON, back in 1973. And our guru, the founder, Acharya Prabhupada, he gave me that name, Bhaktimarga. So that's a Sanskrit name. Marga means path, and Bhakti means devotion. Somehow or other, he had the idea. He knew that I was going to be doing devotion on the path,
Okay.
on the trail. So you can translate it as the walking monk. So when I was 20, or 19, I was quite on a spiritual quest. And that generation, the baby boomers after the war, we were that curious about what's going on in other parts of the world. So I was one of those people. And just like there were a lot of celebrities, famous people who went to India for the first time to probe into its philosophy, not so much to get its silks and its gems and diamonds, and spices and all those things. They went to India genuinely for meditation and the beauty that is brought out from all of that. There were the Beatles, the famous Beatles, and there was quite a few celebs. Peter Sellers, who was a famous English guy. He did that.
Yes.
And he played an Indian gentleman.
Yeah, that's right.
Party is called it.
Yeah.
Classic. And so I was on a quest. I was raised as a Catholic.
Okay.
And I always enjoyed, what I was hearing. I wanted to go a little deeper. So for my parents, it was a little hard to explain to them why I was doing this, when in their eyes, it was a perfectly good tradition. And I said, and it just happened I'd say 20 years into the movement when I lived as a monk. And I told them I never gave up Jesus. I just added Krishna to my life.
Nice.
So it's that kind of openness that you find in the Vedic tradition from the Sanatana Dharma in India. It's not a question of this or that. That's tyrannical, It's more about acceptance. You can get something from everyone.
Correct.
There are some traditions, however, they're very black and white in their outlook. But I like this openness, this sense of openness. And that's why I was favorable towards joining the movement as a brahmachari.
Nice.
So then later on, I took sannyas by an Indian guru. He's from the north. He's a Punjabi devotee, Gopal Krishna Goswami, and but I became a formal disciple of Prabhupada. So all this while, I entered the temple. One day I made a decision in Toronto, and I never looked back.
Oh,
I was just happy with it. And
so that's first place was Toronto when you
yeah,
came
well,
into
I
this.
visited Montreal first
Okay.
to see what was going on there in Park and Avenue. They had rented an old bowling alley, which was three. Can you imagine a bowling alley on three floors?
Three floors, yeah.
Kind of strange, but that's where my first visit to a temple, and then Toronto was the place where I settled down. You know, I would be close to my family members, and you know, that was always important for me. Family, we all got along, and there were 6 of us. You know,
Okay.
siblings.
All siblings.
Yeah, and we always got along with each other. Whenever there's a birthday amongst us, we get on a Zoom call and we talk.
Like a family reunion.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we talk kind of silly and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So family's always important. Even though I never got married, I said I'm a what you call a Naishtiki Brahmachari, basically from birth, and I'm happy with that. But I believe family is important.
That's right.
Yeah.
And in Sanatana Dharma, there is nothing like that you have to leave the family. Rather,
Yeah.
you have to along more families with you. That's a learning which we have
Mhm.
from Dharma.
That's right. And then what is also important to understand in our tradition is that there is a Supreme Father, Bhagavan,
Yes.
as Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
And Krishna has many expansions or duplications of himself.
Correct.
There are many Vishnu expansions. There's Narasingha, there's Varaha, Matsya.
Yeah.
Some of us are familiar with these different avatars, we call them.
Yeah,
avatars.
Lord Rama was avatar of Shri
Yeah,
Krishna.
that's right. Yeah, they're all, you can say, equal, but they have their own unique position.
Basically, they took all avatars to give a different learning to the communities.
Mhm.
That's what we can understand.
That's right.
Yeah.
What I find significant about Krishna is that he, not like any other avatars, he laid out the philosophy, the jnana, through the Bhagavad Gita,
Yeah.
No one else did that.
That's right.
And as is explained in chapter 4, he says to Arjuna, his dear warrior friend, he says, I have spoken this message before to the sun god to Manu, the father of mankind, Manu to Ikshvaku, and in this way, in the cyclic succession,
Mhm.
and the lineage, the message has gone through. So that's what I always found out, what was the beauty of Krishna. Because sometimes people ask, why Krishna, why not Rama? I said, well, we are into Rama. We chant Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. We chant many different mantras, and it's very inclusive. And when it comes to the teachings of Jesus, I didn't see any contradiction. I really didn't.
Yeah.
But I was very drawn in and attracted to the culture, the lifestyle. The food was amazing, prashadam, and also the vegetarian aspect.
All Sattvic Bhojan.
Yeah. So, vegetarian or vegan kind
Yeah,
of lifestyle.
kind of same. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was raised on a farm. So we saw animals being born, and they were like cute little things,
Yeah.
whether it was chickens or a calf or something like that. And then it was really hard to stomach looking at them on the dinner table,
Yes.
later on as they grew up. It was a little hard to handle.
Yeah. So that's a great thing that you have left everything behind.
Yes.
When you are in brahmacharya, you're in this way of path, right?
Well, and it has something also to do with the previous life. I felt very comfortable in this culture, the Sanatana Dharma culture, because most likely I have been engaging in this practice in a previous life.
Mhm.
So I felt totally at home, totally, And, we have our flaws, but, it's still the best thing going on in my opinion.
Yeah. What makes you here better? That's always there.
Yeah. When I was a youngster growing up, I used to watch these old movies, old films. I was very fascinated by the art of acting and so on like that.
Yes.
And but when I joined, I didn't see movies anymore. I was just very occupied with seva, service. I was happy doing that.
Yeah.
I felt I had a purpose in life. And now, in regards to, I do a lot of work with the youth. I get sent to different places on the globe. South Africa, South America, India, of course, U.S. and Canada, and Europe. And I'm asked to, plug into a festival, some mahotsava of sorts,
Yes.
and I'm asked to work with their local youth community and we do these dramas. So I've written a lot of plays, directed them, and we make it a lot of fun. We use fusion East-West ideas and concepts, and we just have a
And
lot
even
of fun.
spirituality is there, like on a drama, on the...
Yeah, well, you learn some of the values, right?
Yes.
Some of the virtues are
So you
there.
made more interesting with that way, so
Yeah.
youth can be attracted on that stage.
That's right. And you know, the thing is, you engage young people in these dramas, they'll never forget it. It'll stay in their head. And any philosophical items that are there that comes out of the story, plus the discipline and the fun of putting it all together, is just something they treasure so much.
How do you think creativity and spirituality are involved, or creativity can be indulged into spirituality?
Well, I think we can look at Krishna's personal life. You know, even though he's Bhagavan, he went to Sanipani Muni school
Yeah.
in North India, and he learned 64 arts. So, starting in the day, they learned some arts, and they're all quite creative. And then by the evening, he had it mastered. So not anybody can do that.
Yeah.
So the point is that it was almost like hands-on kind of education in those days. Like, you know, some of the more, let's say, sort of free Montessori's or whatever, those kind of schools, a little more hands-on, a little more
Like a Gurukul style.
exactly.
Yeah, sort of that,
Outdoors
Outdoor
stuff,
skills, yes.
and working with your hands and so on like that. And you know, Krishna even learned the art of, of course he already knew, but you know, you could tell what's on a person's mind. You know,
Yeah.
just by looking at the mind.
What is in mind, what is
reading-
thinking, what is going to
reading,
speak that, reading
yeah.
that.